auto, handle my problems, I ain't scared.
Yo, welcome back, Pacer Nation, Pacer Station fans everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Today, have a huge video for you guys. We're going to be previewing and breaking down the upcoming series against the Miami Heat in the first round of the playoffs. I think me and Coach Jay are both very optimistic about the team entering this series, and it's going to be a very exciting one. These are two very good basketball teams, two very fun teams to watch, and it's going to be great to be a Pacers fan and watch this series. I feel like starting on Tuesday. Tuesday is game one. Coach Jay, where are you at when it comes to your feelings about the Pacers and their chances in this series?
Excuse me. Yeah, personally, I think this is going to be a 6 or a 7 game series, regardless of who wins.
Absolutely.
Simply because of the quality of the coaching staff. These are both. I think this is going to be a very old school type series.
For sure.
I think both teams are. I think the winners of each game are going to be held under 100 points more times than not. I think the winners are going to be scoring around 105, 107 points a game. I mean, it's going to be vintage basketball. It's going to be defensive oriented. Both of these teams are elite and physical defensive teams. Defensively, the Pacers and the Heat have similar origins. The Pat Riley style defense that Spoelstra still runs with the Heat. A lot of on-ball pressure, a lot of trapping on pick and rolls.
And Kendrick Nunn is a great point guard for that system.
Absolutely, and their aggressive style of defense is very similar to the way that the Pacers have played their defenses over the years. The Pacers tend to be much more disciplined and conservative defensively. Although Nate McMillan has really just tried to amp up the pressure since he's gotten here. The Pacers defense and the Miami Heat defense have similar origins. Dick Harder, who really invented the Pacers defensive philosophy of strong weak side defense, working together, packing the paint, making teams shoot from the outside.
Right.
He was the Pacers assistant under Larry Bird. But prior to him coming to the Pacers in 97, 98, he was an assistant for Pat Riley with the New York Knicks and the Miami Heat. So he designed the Miami Heat defensive philosophy, which is aggression, pressure, and, again, make you shoot from the outside.
All right.
The Heat are, I would say, they're more athletic than we are. They're capable of playing a smaller lineup, and their small lineup is more physical than our small lineup.
Sure.
If we had Sabonis, I would say we'd win the series in 5 or 6 games simply because when Adebayo goes to the bench, they really don't have anybody that can handle him.
For sure.
But if Sabonis does not play, the reverse is true for the Pacers. The roles get reversed because Adebayo is such a physical defensive physical presence at both ends of the floor.
Right.
The Pacers are going to have to rotate bodies on him. They're going to have to double team him at certain points on the floor. And honestly, what I'd like to see the Pacers do in this series is come in with the same or a similar game plan to what they did against the Lakers with Anthony Davis, which is anytime Adebayo catches the ball in the post, back to the basket or face up, run somebody at him and get the ball out of his hands. Because as good a defender as Miles Turner is, he's not strong enough to push him out of there.
Right.
And you saw last time we played against Adebayo, Miles Turner almost fell out of that game.
Yeah.
And as for Jimmy Butler, I would play him head up. I would not double team him. And I would look to put throw multiple people at him over the course of a game and try to wear him down.
Right.
I don't think he's a threat as far as passing the ball because again he's Jimmy Butler. He wants to.
Yeah, he's Jimmy Butler.
He's a scorer. He's not a creator. He's not LeBron.
Right.
I think Derrick Jones Jr.
Prayers
had
to
a
him, by the
really
way.
bad. What?
I said prayers to him, by the way, for that neck strain.
Oh my God, he looked. That was a nasty injury, and you, as a fan and as a coach and as a player, you would never wish that on anybody.
Absolutely. But one thing I will say about that though, I've seen so many Heat fans on Twitter and such, absolutely going off on Goga, and I really don't think that was a dirty play by him whatsoever. I really don't think it was.
It was not an illegal screen. It was a physical screen.
For sure.
And for those Miami Heat fans, to jog their memory, every time the Pacers and the Heat play against each other, or have played against each other, going back to the mid-'90s, it's always been a physical game.
For sure.
If you're checking into a Pacers Heat game on either side, you got to know what you're getting into.
For sure.
And I'm not saying it was intentional on Goga's part. I think it was a perfectly legal screen. And I think Derrick Jones Jr. was locking and trailing. He was doing everything he was supposed to do off the ball, and he just hit that screen at a really bad angle at a really high speed. It was totally inadvertent, and I think any criticism of Goga in that situation is completely out of line and petty because, if you watched the whole game and you saw that injury, you will also remember the look on Goga's face was similar to the look on Lawrence Taylor's face after he hit Joe Theismann. He was concerned. He wanted, the look on his face was like, what have I done? Or, oh my God, I hope he's okay. It wasn't a cheap shot at all.
At all. And that's this is the part about the physicality in a Miami and Pacers game, like you said. That's what the biggest thing I'm looking forward to in this series is to see, because this series is going to absolutely 100% test our mental toughness. This is TJ Warren's first real crack at the playoffs, and one big thing I think some people have about TJ Warren is his mentality. Some people think he's a little soft at times. Some people think he doesn't play with a whole lot of aggression, or like he wants to just go. That's why a lot of people say he wasn't a great defender in Phoenix. I've seen Phoenix fans say he was just soft and didn't want to play defense. He wanted to score, and he is a scorer. That's his main. He's obviously under McMillan and the Pacers staff. He's growing into something that's an all-around player, a much better all-around player. But TJ's main thing is to score, and I do want to see what he can do with playoff minutes. Like I said, physical. It's going to be a huge thing with mental toughness. I mean, players like Jimmy Butler, Kendrick Nunn, Iguodala, these are all guys that will test you. They're not going to back down from anything, and it's going to be just like. And we're going to have a depleted roster if Sabonis isn't playing. And I wouldn't be surprised if someone else ends up not playing if Miles Turner doesn't. I know Warren has fasciitis in his foot too, so it's going to be really interesting. I don't know if I want to see Miami in a Game 7 for that very reason. I feel like they are tougher than us mentally. I feel like Butler and Kendrick Nunn up front, guys like that, and then their shooting ability with Harrow, Robinson, etc. I feel like if it goes to a Game 7 and we don't have Sabonis, I don't like our chances very much. But I'm very optimistic as a whole entering this series, and it's mainly because of what I've seen out of our bench play in recent games. Alize Johnson just had an 11 point, 17 rebound game today against Miami. Dougie McBuckets has been coming into his own the last couple games. Of course, him and Justin Holiday weren't playing their very best to start off in the bubble, but I think they're getting into a rhythm. Our bench is getting into a rhythm, and I think it's going to be very important to watch Miles Turner in this series, though. I think Miles Turner is going to be a key player to watch for Indiana because mainly because of Sabonis being out. He's going to have he's going to be banging with Bam a lot. And I want to see how he handles that, how he reacts to it. And I hope he doesn't get bullied too much. Of course, like you said, And I think he's a good defender. I don't know if he's as great as a defender as some people think just because of his blocks. I don't think blocks make you a great defender as a center. I think, like you said, he has to get. I don't know what it is. It seems like Miles Turner gets thrown around a lot at times, even though he's getting blocks because of his length and because of positioning and because of his effort. Um, it doesn't seem like he's always there, especially with players like Bam. They will chew him up, and it's but seeing guys like Alize Johnson, I think a guy like Jakar Sampson even will be better to go up against Bam than Miles Turner, matchup wise. I just like Jakar's tenacity and the way he plays the game. I feel like it could at least somewhat rival Bam's tenacity and the way Bam plays below under the basket. But guys like TJ McConnell, even Edmund Sumner, I mean, all these bench guys are really playing well. And I think if we win the series, it'll be because of our depth. And if Derrick Jones Jr. doesn't end up playing, Miami's not going to have a full team either. It's going to be two. I mean, it's going to be a great series no matter what. Like you said, I think it will go to a game 6 or 7. I hope if we get them in game 6 and we're up 4-2, I mean, or 3-2, I hope we can close it out. I really do. Because like I said, in game 7, I feel like Butler will come in with a chip on his shoulder. I feel like he will come in trying to and here's the thing about Jimmy Butler. I don't think he's a star, but he's not the type of star that's going to beat you all by himself. It's going to take a team effort from Miami if they want to beat, especially a team like Indiana. It's going to take a complete team effort from them, and I really really hope that we can beat Miami. I want a lot of the McMillan naysayers to be put in their place. I want us to show that we can be contenders with the team we have right now, even without Sabonis. But like I said, it will take Miles playing good basketball. It will take Vic playing his best basketball he can. I think if we want to win the series or go deeper in the playoffs in the second round or so, that Vic will have to be our best player, and Vic will have to play closer to old Vic than Vic from this year, Vic that's been playing with an injury. He has to play a little bit closer to that if we want to really contend for something in these playoffs.
Yeah. I think I disagree with the idea that Victor's going to have to be our best player. I think we're just going to have to be the better team. After
100%.
I think it was after the game against Washington, he was interviewed after the game, and Vic made a good point, which is how are you going to stop all of us?
Right.
If you stop me, you got TJ. I mean, if you stop TJ, you got me and Brogdon. There's so many different weapons on this team. And even without Sabonis, you've got, I would say 3 out of our 5 starters, can drop 20 and 10 on you in a given night.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the biggest question mark going into this series is how are the Pacers going to handle Adebayo? You can bet that
100%.
Nate McMillan is going to make some adjustments going into this series. I would actually look to see the Pacers play some zone against him.
Oh, for sure. I think it'll be a lot of zone. I think that's the best way we can defend
The
them
other
with
thing
guys
that I
like
think
that.
you'll see is I think that you're going to see the Pacers amp up some pressure defensively because when you're at a disadvantage on the boards, one of the ways you can make up for that is by forcing turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
So if Nate's going to play small, like you said, I would say I would look for Alize Johnson to get minutes. I would look for Nate to play 9 or 10 people and just pressure all night long with, primarily putting Victor Brogdon at the head of the press. And when they go to the bench, you got Aaron Holiday and Sumner at the head of the press.
Right.
I think that strategy works well against Miami because, as good as a ball hand, Butler can handle, Iguodala can handle, but other than that, they really don't have anybody other than like Dragic and Nunn who can bring the ball up the court.
Right.
Hero can handle in the half court, but is not the guy you want bringing it up. Duncan Robinson is a shooter, not a handler.
Absolutely.
Jay Crowder is also a shooter, not a handler. He's not the guy you want bringing it up the floor.
I completely agree that I 100% agree that the key to this series will be how we play Bam. the only reason I say I think Vic has to be our best player is because of the task that he's going to have to take on. I feel like he's going to be the main one that's out there trying to stop guys like Butler, guys like Duncan on the 3-point line, shooters like Harrow, like we said, and guys like Kendrick Nunn even, who's been playing better offensively than he was earlier in the year. So I just think Vic, I don't think he has to be completely all the way to old Vic, but I think if we wanna go further than just this Miami series, he will have to at least blossom into, because I don't know if Miami plays TJ the same way they did that first game against them or earlier this week. Someone else, I don't know where else we get our scoring unless Oladipo is there playing great. Of course, Brogdon will get his points in. He's always going to. He was a 50, 40, 90 player, as a lot of people like to bring up at one point. And that's the only reason why I say he doesn't have to be our best player per se, but he has to play well. He has to. He can't
No
lay any
doubt.
duds, regardless of of his injury. Regardless of what's bothering him. We saw him put up 22, 7, and 5. That one game, I forgot who he was playing last week, and yeah, I need more games out of Vic like that. If I personally feel like we need more games like that out of him if we want to go further in the playoffs than just this Miami game. And it will be great to see if he can against Butler, because I don't know who they're going to have on Vic. I don't know who they're going to have defending him, but if it is Butler, it's going to be good to see that matchup. It's going to be great to see how Vic can play playoff ball now with a more of a team around him than he has in previous years whenever we went to the playoffs.
Yeah, I actually don't think Butler will guard Victor unless Victor gets hot. I think, and as for the Pacers, the way they matched up with Butler in the last game is they started Malcolm Brogdon on him.
Yeah.
Which I think is the better matchup than putting T.J. Warren on him, because Brogdon's one of the best on-ball defenders in the NBA, but one of the other things that Brogdon gives you is he gives you a guy who can't be rattled by trash talk and, chippy play.
Right.
So Butler can talk his ear off all he wants. He's not going to rattle Brogdon.
Absolutely. I think Brogdon and Oladipo would both be a better matchup for Jimmy, but you know that a lot of our fans are going to be begging for that Warren and Butler head-to-head matchup. I don't think they're going to get it because I think obviously both
Sure,
teams
we
are
want
trying
to
to
win
win
the
the
series.
game. It's the playoffs. It's not just any old regular season game anymore. This is playoff basketball. So of course I don't think either one of the coaches are going to have that matchup, but that's what a lot of fans are going to be begging for, and we're going to see a lot of people talking about Warren versus Butler for this series. I've already seen it. I've already seen it coming. Kendrick Nunn had 23 on us today. Like I said, he's been better on offense than he was earlier in the season. And do you think Brogdon? Who do you think will guard him in the series against Miami? I understand he's probably not the biggest offensive threat or close to it that we need to worry about, but he's a sneaky threat.
Tonight was the only reason he started tonight was because the Heat sat their starters for the most part.
Right.
So I would say the likelihood is I think you'll probably see Sumner guarding him off the bench, or I think you'll see Aaron Holiday guard him.
100%.
Aaron Holiday gave him some trouble today because Nunn turned the ball over a couple of times. I think T.J. McConnell's probably the best matchup for him.
For sure. I just see a lot of Heat fans are super high on Nunn. I've been talking to a lot of Heat fans today about the series, and they think he's going to be an X factor, not only of course on offense but defensively, where his strong suit is. And he's a sneaky threat. I think he's someone we should worry about at least a little bit. A lot of guys that were playing today, we don't need to worry about whatsoever. Udonis Haslem, no one cares. I mean, guys like Solomon Hill, even Solo, he's of course much better than Haslem. But the main guys we need to worry about are going to be Butler, Jones Jr. if he does play, guys like Robinson at the 3-point line. But it's going to be a great series. I think we match up very well with him, though. And I think that after games like today, what did we have? We had 6 players in double figures today. We have a lot of guys on our team that can score at any time. And the game before this against Houston, it was Sumner who had 17 and played very well. It's just it's whoever's game it is. Like Vic said, how can you stop them all? You can't really stop them all. And even with a great defensive team like Miami, it's going to take more than just locking down one or two players on this Pacers team, because you can lock down the whole starting lineup, and then you got Alizé, Justin Holiday, Jakar Sampson, Sumner, and them boys right behind them.
Yeah, Alizé Johnson could be a key in this series with Sabonis not being around, because you saw in the game tonight he had a career high in points and rebounds.
I think he's our best rebounder in the bubble.
I think he had 17 points and 13 boards, and he hit a couple of threes.
Yeah,
So
he had 11 points, 17 rebounds, and I think he's the best.
Like that.
Yeah, I think he's the best rebounder on our team in the bubble. Honestly, I think he's.
I agree with that.
The main rebounder for our team if we want to.
I would look for Nate to give him some minutes against Adebayo, because Jakar Sampson is physical, but he's not super strong.
Right.
And he's undersized. I think Alizé Johnson is a better matchup for him.
You think so?
Yeah,
I could see why one would think that, especially after today's game. Alizé played fantastic. I just think every time I see Jakar getting a lot of hustle plays, and of course that won't be enough to man a guy like Bam Adebayo. You need more than just hustle. Of course, you need a lot of physicality, and like you said, he is more physical. He just needs to be a little stronger. But I think physicality can make up for a lot of things that other guys don't have on the team. I think Jakar Sampson's one of those physical guys on the team, and I would love to see him. I think he could give Bam a little bit of problems down low. Of course, Bam overall is going to run whoever we put on him, because we don't have Sabonis. It doesn't matter who we put on Bam. It's going to be about containing him as much as we can. I don't think we can completely bring his game to a halt, unless we want to double him every time he gets the ball in the paint, which I don't know how that would work whenever you got shooters on the outside like Duncan Robinson, guys like Jimmy Butler, Harrow, and even Jay Crowder, who can knock down threes when he needs to.
That's why I'd be hesitant to double team, because like when you double teamed Embiid with the Sixers or when you double teamed AD with the Lakers, there was no spacing around them, so you could get away with hard double teams. You can't do that against Miami, because not only are they good, not only do they have the spacing, but they're willing to make the extra pass.
Absolutely. I've even seen a couple times this year, I've seen Miami run the two big man set with Olynyk and Bam, and that's even harder to stop whenever you got a guy like Olynyk on that who can also shoot the ball. They got shooters everywhere and athleticism, as you said. So it's going to be a fantastic series, because I think we got shooters and athleticism too.
Absolutely.
From top to bottom, both teams are very stacked. Both teams are very good, and at the end of the day, I think it's going to come down to who plays tougher. That's another reason I think Vic has to play really well, because Vic at his best was a very tough guy. He was first team all defense. I mean, this dude was a bulldog. I want to see that in playoff basketball if we want to really make a run for this thing.
Absolutely.
1,000%. How do you feel about guys like Goga off the bench and Aaron Holiday, two guys that you've said before you think have all-star potential? This will be their first playoff, it'll be Batadze's first playoff run, and Aaron's first playoff go at it with some real playoff minutes. I think he's going to have a lot of PT. How do you feel about those two guys entering the series against Miami?
Yeah, I think Aaron Holiday is primed for a big series. I think his confidence has skyrocketed since he's been in the bubble.
100%.
I also think Goga is starting to get a little bit more confident in his ability physically. I think he's still trying to figure out how to play defense in the NBA, specifically off of pick and rolls. A lot of his fouls tend to be hedging off of ball screens. But yeah. I think I think both guys will be solid. I think Aaron Holiday is going to have a breakout series, because he can step out and hit the three, and he is a pit bull defensively.
He is 100%. I think one thing we saw today out of the team that we didn't particularly see the rest of the bubble at all, and something that I think will help us a whole lot if we can play like that entering the bubble, is the way we started the game. First quarter, by the end of the first quarter, we was up 28-13, and we have not seen fast, big starts like that from us. It's actually been the opposite. I've seen us have to claw our way out of small, albeit small deficits. I've seen us have to claw back a little bit in some games in the bubble. And if we can get off to good starts in these games against Miami in this series, it's gonna be great to watch. I mean, that was one of the reasons we lost to them the first time. I feel like last week was because we got ourselves in a hole at the beginning of the game to where by the time we came back and tied it up, if we would have played like that and had a better start, we would have been winning by the time we had tied it up. But
Oh,
after that,
absolutely.
Miami started to pull away. So I think the
Well, I'm
starts of
hoping
these
that's an
games are going to mean a
adjustment.
lot. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I'm hoping that's an adjustment that Nate makes. I think if they can get over the hump of starting slow, I think they'll be fine in the playoffs because Miami is a team that struggles in close games. They've lost 15 games this year that were decided by 3 points or less.
Wow.
And if the Pacers can keep the games close, I think they'll win because of how many weapons they have at the offensive end. The other thing is, if the Pacers get off to a fast start, Miami is an excellent defensive team, but
Right.
at times they go through scoring droughts offensively when they're not knocking down threes.
Right.
So if they go through a 3-point shooting slump for during a quarter or something like that, the Pacers could take a 20-point lead at that point because the Pacers get more layups. If they
Absolutely.
take threes, they shoot a high percentage, but they don't take as many threes because they don't have to.
Right. 100%. And I think it's also going to be a battle of role players too. Guys like Justin Holiday going head to head with guys like Iguodala and Crowder. There's a lot of role players on both teams, and it's going to be great to see them go head to head.
I agree. I think
100%.
I think the biggest key in this series for the Pacers is going to be Dougie McBuckets.
Right.
If Dougie McBuckets can shoot 50% or better from three in this series, I don't think they can beat us because the Pacers will just run off-ball screen after off-ball screen for him and
Yeah.
run Victor Oladipo and Brogdon and Warren on the weak side and just
And it's
just
really
drive and kick over and over again.
right. And it really has been perfect timing that McBuckets is coming into his own now. Um, it's been great to watch him recently. I think him being in that bench unit, that our bench unit period, it doesn't matter who's coming off the bench. It feels like they all have great chemistry. I saw one play today in particular where TJ McConnell, he knew McBuckets was going to be up on top of the three, and kind of ran around the whole defense baseline, kicked it out, bang, McBuckets hit a three, and I think you can see a lot of that. It's just going to be about hitting them for him and Holiday because that's what they weren't doing at the beginning of the bubble. It's just going to be about knocking down threes, but there's always shots available for both of them. Holiday's been improving his
Absolutely.
mid-range game. I've been seeing that a lot. I've been seeing him pull up from mid-range a whole lot more recently, and both guys are going to be needed very, very much so. I think the benches are going to be the keys in the series because I feel like the starters are very evenly matched. I don't feel like there's a big, although Bam obviously is going to be the main thing for us and how Miles plays him. I don't think there's a big talent difference in our starting lineup. I think the bench play is where it's going to get rough because they're going to come off either none or Dragic is going to come off the bench. Sometimes they start none, sometimes they start Dragic. Um, Either one of them two are going to come off the bench and they're going to play against guys like Holiday and McConnell if Holiday's not starting, of course. But yeah, like I said, I mean, from top to bottom, this is going to be a fantastic series, and I think all fans. I think this is the most interesting series, at least Eastern Conference wise, this playoffs has right now.
I definitely think it's going to be the most competitive series out of all of the first round series.
For sure. I mean, there's not any other Eastern Conference first round matchups that intrigue me much. I mean, Boston and Philly, Philly without Simmons. I think Boston's going to run away with that one. Bucks. I think Milwaukee is going to obviously run away against Orlando, and Brooklyn. Who's Brooklyn playing? I'm forgetting
They're
the
playing
team.
the Raptors.
Yeah, Brooklyn playing the Rap. I mean, it's. I think this is clearly and by far the main series to watch as a basketball fan. Both teams basically one game apart in record. Both teams known for the rivalry going on, and I mean, we remember Lance Stevenson blowing in LeBron's ear. We remember um, many Miami and Indiana games, and it's just going to continue the rivalry. I feel like this is definitely a rivalry now, especially now after Jimmy and Warren happened this year. I mean, everybody in the league nationally talks about that rivalry consistently. So, I think it's gonna be great to see what TJ can do. Not only is this his first playoff series, but he's going against a team that's really going to test his mental toughness. Really going to test it. We're going to see if he can put out them 30-point, them 40-point games like he was at the beginning of the bubble, or if he's going to shy away, or if they're going to double him, how they're going to play him. It's going to be really interesting. I can't wait to see what happens. I hope Spoelstra doesn't outcoach McMillan too bad, because while I do think players win games in the league, I'm sure you can attest to this more being a coach yourself. Coaching does matter a whole lot, especially in playoff games, uh, as far as adjusting and coming out of halftime and what set you're coming out in, what's going on, because players are going to give it their all in playoffs no matter what. Effort won't be a question. Players are going to give it their all. It's about who's going to draw up the best play at the end of the game.
Well, I don't think most fans realize how many moving pieces a head coach and his staff have to balance in the course of a game, much less a playoff series.
Right, it's chess.
And it's a chess match. It's beyond a chess match. You have to substitute right. You have to pick your matchups right. You have to manage foul trouble. You have to draw up key plays at the right times.
Absolutely.
And Spoelstra has 3 championships worth of experience as a head coach and assistant coach.
Mm-hmm. And like I was just saying, it's. I mean, in regular season, you see that a coach can draw up a perfect play to go against the opposing coach's defense, and the play might not work because a guy took a play off, a guy didn't give it his all. Playoff ball, both teams are going at it 100%, as hard as they can. I don't really see guys taking plays off a lot in playoff games, and with these when both of these teams play hard anyway, so it's like it's going to be fantastic to see these two teams. I feel like it's the best matchup for us. I think if we can get past Miami, I don't think we're going to beat Milwaukee by any stretch of the imagination. I think Milwaukee, Giannis is playing with something to prove, but I think we can give them two losses or so. If we can beat Miami, if we can beat Miami in a series, I don't think Milwaukee will sweep us like a lot of people would think they would.
I don't think so either.
At all. I don't think they would.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we've been saying, it's going to be a fantastic series. Cannot wait to see what happens. Thanks for having you on, Coach Jay. We'll probably talk about this series some more leading up to the game on Tuesday. We're gonna see what's gonna happen. Hopefully, we'll get some chippy. I want to see some chippiness too, some nastiness, some tenacity. I want to see guys get physical. And I wouldn't mind to see a little bit of that Butler Warren action come out. I wouldn't mind to see that whatsoever, because I think it will just heat things up even more and make the next game in the playoff series even more anticipated to watch. Every game is going to mean a lot, and every player on both teams are going to mean a lot to their team. Thanks for having you on, Coach Jay. Appreciate your insight as always. It's great having a basketball mind like you on here to talk about big things like this. This is a huge series for us, huge series for Nate McMillan. And I hope we can get some bonus back sometime in the series. It'd be great to. Doubt we will, but it'd be great to see us with a complete team. All right, Coach Jay, we'll have you on again soon. Thanks for coming on here. Everybody follow us at Pacer Station on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. A lot of great new content coming. I think this is going to be our longest video yet. Had a great talk with you guys. I'll be going live here in a couple days. I'm thinking having a live stream again for you guys to come on there and ask me any questions. We can just talk Pacers. Hopefully, I'll get a 2-hour, 3-hour live stream here soon. But like I said, follow us at Pacer Station, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Love y'all. Can't wait for the series. Pacer Nation, we up. Deuces.